What's up, you guys? Preston James here, the Laughing Buddha Recording Studio. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you've watched my other videos, I really appreciate it. Much love and much gratitude. I really do. I'm thankful for it. Thankful for all the views and love and support out there. So thank you. Coming back with another record review. And this time, we're doing, as you can see, because it's already on there, Leon Bridges, Leon. All right, let's get into it. So Leon Bridges, you guys, he is definitely one of my, I would say, top favorite artists, my top 20 for sure. He is an individual who is very versatile. He brings a very clean sound, and it's so smooth that it literally feels like you're cutting through warm butter. Like it's just so pleasing and pleasant to listen to. Everything that I've listened to that he's done is very soulful, and I don't mean just in the genre of music soulful. I mean in a sense that it feels good, and I can really feel it in my soul, like I really can. And it's no less on this album, Leon, his fourth main studio album. It's no different. This one, I think it feels more personable. I want to say before we kind of dive into it, if you get a chance to listen to it, and or if you have or re-listen to it. If you get a chance to listen to it soon, I suggest listening to this album on really good headphones, if you have them, monitors or speakers. The reason I say that is because sometimes with these artists like this, especially him, and the engineering and the production and the songwriting and just everything all together as this conglomerate, this cohesive unit, as I like to say, is you can really kind of, like I said before, you can feel it, but it feels like it's personal to you. It almost feels like you can like reach out and touch it. That's how good the engineering and production is. And it's like, I don't know, it just feels so much closer to you, like you're a part of the music, if that makes sense. I think some of you will know what I'm talking about. But yes, good pair of headphones, monitors, or speakers, and just kind of sit back, relax, and focus on the music and just let it take over. This album just does just that. Just like his other albums, this one does the same thing. This one feels, like I said, more personable, more personal. There's a distance between the instrumentation and his vocal. So like the drums and the bass are kind of in the background, and they play as this kind of curtain and wall in the back in a good way, whereas the vocal is very much up front, and the guitar sits right behind the vocal. And some of you engineers out there, some of you engineers out there know what I'm talking about. When we visualize, when we're mixing or recording, we can visualize where we want the instrumentation in relationship or relation to the vocal. Because it creates this certain dynamic and relationship with one another that helps give way for the song, and gives it its own feeling and space. So if you can balance it right and get the right instrumentation in the right place at the right volume and level, then you can create this field and this sense of belonging with the listener and the music. And they've done a great job on this album by doing that. The main mix engineer for this album is Conrad Snyder, and he mixed the whole album. He helped with the recording as well, but his mixing is just bar none. I can hear every single detail of like guitar plucking, drums, every drum hit, the piano, the keys. Man, I can really hear the keys and all the instrumentation, including the background vocals. They feel like they're all in the right space. And if you know a little bit about recording and mixing, It's about giving things their own space, more or less. And when you can really touch on that in a song, then I feel like you've succeeded as an engineer in both recording and the mixing realm. The production, of course, but when it comes to the mixing and recording, there's a very elegant way to do things to get the sound that you're looking for and make sure that everything sounds like it should. And that's not easy. The sense of when you listen to a song and you go, and actually you don't go, you listen to it and you don't think anything. You think this is a good song. You're not guessing, oh, the guitar should be louder. Oh, the drums should be louder or softer, or the guitar should be on the left side of my listening field, or it should be on the right. A really good mix and production and overall engineering is you listen to it and everything feels like it goes exactly where it is. And for me, that's not always easy. I struggle with that sometimes, especially the balance. The balance is the key part. A lot of engineers will say, start with the balance. You start with the balance, and then you start mixing into the balance, right? Once you get everything kind of balanced out before you kind of get into it, then you can really, it's kind of like your foundation. So that's not easy. So shout out Conrad Snyder for his recording and his mixing on this. But let me get into it a little bit. For the producers for this album, he stuck with 4 producers, including himself. So there's 5 producers overall on this album, including Leon, like I said, and that's Ian Fitchuk. Sorry if I don't pronounce these names correctly. I do apologize. I try my best. But Ian Fitchuk, Joshua Moore, Daniel Tashian, and Tyler Johnson. So those 4 plus Leon are the only producers he had on this album. And if you've watched my other videos, you know that I believe when you keep the same producers and engineers from start to finish of an album, it creates a consistency throughout the album. And when you start with these engineers and producers and songwriters, you have a vision for the album, right? You kind of start from scratch and then you build this album in theory, and then it starts coming together and you start writing or whatever. But when you have that vision and it finally kind of becomes solidified in your mind for an artist or an engineer, once you have that, then you get your people in place. And once you all are on the same page and you can kind of see it through. It's not that it can't happen with other albums and other artists that don't have the same engineers and producers, but it creates this very much consistent sound and feel throughout the whole album, especially with engineers, because they have their own taste, right? Like, I like to mix drums a certain way. I like to balance drums a certain way. I like to put my vocal in a certain spot, depending on the genre. But for the most part, I have definitely a certain keen sense of where I want things. And every engineer is different. Same, but different, right? We like things the way that we hear them and feel them. Yes, we tailor it to the artist and what they want. But at the end of the day, I think we all start with, unless instructed otherwise, we all start with what feels good to us and what feels right where it sits. Yes. So moving on, recording engineers on this album. We have Joshua Moore, who I just mentioned also as a producer. Joshua Moore, Conrad Snyder, like I mentioned. JC Verti, Daniel Bitron Azrip, Israel Sean Rodriguez, Justin Francis, Dan Davis, and Zach Pancoast. You guys did an amazing job. Throughout the album, you can hear various instruments, including some horns and some orchestral instruments. And that's another thing about Leon that he does. He does great. He's all over the place in the best way possible, and it shows his versatility. And I really appreciate that with an artist. And you can really tell that he loves what he does. And to capture that, again, it's all about the artist and capturing that sound. And these engineers captured that sound. So I can really appreciate that. And my hat's off to him for sure. Like I said, the mixing engineer, Solamente Conrad Snyder. Thank you, Conrad. You did an amazing job. And for the mastering engineers, it was 2 people, right? Again, having that consistency throughout the album. is Greg Calby and Steve Fallone, or Fallone. So yes, those were the engineers and producers. They did a great job. I think this is as good as it gets in the music industry in creating an album. There is obviously tons of other examples, and people do amazing, phenomenal jobs. But for this particular genre, for this particular artist, for this particular sound, and for this particular album and vision, they have fully succeeded. 10 out of 10 for in that department. 10 out of 10 in that department, hands down. Overall for the album, and it's hard not to, right, and compare his other albums, but overall, I would give this album, I would say 7 out of 10. And it's interesting because I've given the other albums I've done recently a pretty high score of 7 out of 10. But I think I lean towards stuff that I really like to listen to, and I want to shout out. This is all about shouting out the engineers and producers and songwriters and artistry overall. So, but yeah, 7 out of 10 for this album. And I'll get into it in a second, but my favorite personal album of his is Gold Digger's Sound, his third studio album. Man, what an album. So just a little background. Leon Bridges started as a dishwasher at Del Frisco's in Fort Worth, Texas. He was working there for a while, and he was discovered by Austin Michael Jenkins, Joshua Block, and Chris Vivian, who are from a band called White Denim, but they threw all their resources together and money and found a space, opened a recording studio called Niles City Sound, which is where he's recorded his first couple albums. I'm not sure about this most recent one, but they basically put all their chips in this studio, and Leon was their first main artist. And what a great discovery! What a great gamble! It turned out their gut instincts were spot on. Obviously, Leon's one of the best in the industry, in my opinion. So great job, guys! Thank you for bringing us Leon. Thank you. And so Fort Worth, Texas, his first album, Coming Home, came out in 2015. It was nominated for Best R&B album at the 2016 Grammys. And he is still with Columbia Records. He's been with Columbia Records this whole time. They have huge artists on there, like the Kid Laroi, the Kid Laroi, Beyonce, Adele. Who else is on there? This artist named Bill Murray, Rosalia. They have a bunch of artists on Columbia Records. But I like that Leon has stuck with Columbia Records because they have obviously given him the independence and freedom to create and curate the sound and albums that he has wanted to, that he has saw fit for his sound and overall direction. So that's awesome. So the name of that album is Coming Home, like I said, 2015. His second album is Good Thing, came out in 2018. Songs like Bad Bad News, Beyond, and Naomi. It was nominated for Best R&B Album as well at the 2018 Grammys, and it won Best Traditional R&B Performance for the song Bet Ain't Worth the Hand. So he's constantly nominated is kind of my point here in bringing this up. And just talking about him overall, he has that sound. He has that level of artistry. Again, he just has that top tier industry sound, and he makes it sound natural and like it's not hard. Like it's just so easy in just a smooth, laid back kind of way. And like I mentioned before, his third album, Gold Digger Sound, came out in 2021. This is my favorite album for sure, hands down. It was recorded, here's a cool fact, it was recorded at the same name, Gold Digger Sound, here in LA in East Hollywood, which is, Gold Digger Sound is a bar, a hotel, and a studio. They use an API console. I don't know what model or series, but some of you mixing and recording nerds like myself will know what I'm talking about, but they have a beautiful API console, which is definitely pushing out some really good sound. But they have this bar and hotel and the studio kind of mixed together. And you can go online and check it out. I really highly suggest that. And it's a very smooth website too. It's very classy. It has this very modern feel for sure, but it also has a nostalgic feel to it from like the 60s and 70s, which I really like. Hopefully I get to go there one day, maybe even record an album or help record an album or even mix. But yeah, so I guess he stayed there the whole time he was making this album, or most of the time. So that's kind of cool as well. He also, I want to mention one of his partners in crime that he has been with for a while. His name is Nate Mercial, who I'll get to in a minute, who did some songwriting on this album. But Nate Mercial has helped a lot with Leon and helping him form his sound from the beginning. Nate Mercial, again, I apologize if I got that name wrong or how I pronounced it, but he has helped Leon a lot from the start. So he has a lot to do with what we hear today, with his overall sound. So I think that's great. I just want to give him a shout out real quick. But yes, so if you haven't listened to Gold Digger Sound, please go listen to that album. That album is 10 out of 10, 100%. Motorbike, Sweeter, Details, Magnolias, I think it's Magnolias, Show Enough, which is my favorite song, Show Enough, and then Don't Worry. And another fun fact is the song Sweeter was in response to the murder of George Floyd. And once I heard that and listened to that song again, it gave it a lot more of a context. I know that some of us will listen to a song and we've heard it maybe even a million times, and we'll hear something about it, like what it's about really. And then it changes the whole meaning of the song and even the feeling of the song. It just gives it a lot more depth and just feeling overall, right? It can grab us a lot more when we know what they're talking about specifically. Because I think when we listen to music, that's the beauty and the nature of listening to music, is we kind of give it its own context. We hear the lyrics. I always listen for the instrumentation and the feeling of it first, and then kind of the lyricism and kind of what they're saying later. But once we really find out, we hear the song differently. And I challenge you to do that. The next time you find out about a song, catch yourself listening to the song and how you're perceiving that song, right? It changes our perception of how we hear and even listen to those types of songs. So yes, so Gold Digger Sound. This was his first album, by the way, without at Niles City Sound, without doing it with his people who found him. And like I said, I don't know if he recorded this newest one there, but I know that those people still work with him, but I just don't know in what capacity. So yes, so Leon released on the 4th of October, 2024, Laredo, Peaceful Place, Simplify, are the top three kind of the top three songs that he put out with the album, or that are at least creating some buzz. I keep listening to That's What I Love, number 2, the second song on the album. Really good song, and Ain't Got Nothing on You. Those are great songs, the ones that I have on repeat right now. There's a lot of textures on this album. There's, like I said, you have this background of drums and bass to give it this kind of curtain and wall in a very soft, elegant way. But there's layers to the instrumentation, which really gives it its soft, smooth appeal. It's very soulful. It's laid back. It feels heartfelt. It feels very heartfelt and generous, like he's giving us a gift. And again, it feels personal. It feels very personal. When you listen to it on headphones, like I had mentioned earlier, it feels like he's talking to you and just whispering something into your ear. And again, the vocals so up front, but in like the best place possible. And hopefully you can hear what I hear and how much that helps create the sound that and the vision that they had for this album. So I know I should have said it at the beginning when I was mentioning some of the producers and engineers, and I apologize, but some of the songwriters for this album include Todd Bridges, Ian Fitchuk again, Daniel Tashian, Joshua Moore, who obviously did a lot on this album as well, Eric Burton Frederick, John Mayer, who helped write When a Man Cries, which is cool, right? Had no idea John Mayer was on his album. Tom Payton, Nate Mercial, like I just mentioned, his close buddy who helped him since the beginning, Brandon Marcel, Austin Michael Jenkins, Luke Laird, Ben West, and numerous and many others, which I am posting right here, as you can see. But a bunch of people on here that really helped tailor this album and give it the lyricism that Leon saw fit and that it needed. So what a great album. Check it out when you guys get a chance. Love Leon Bridges. His album is out now. Leon, 4th studio album. If you haven't listened to Gold Digger Sound, go check that out. But also go listen to Coming Home, Good Things. I can't wait for more. I'm excited to even hear what he does next. Thank you guys as always for tuning in. I do appreciate the love and support. I really do. And you know what we'd like to say here at the Laughing Buddha Recording Studio. Do what you got to do to get to where you want to be so you can do what you want to do. Do what you got to do to get to where you want to be so you can do what you want to do. Always in kindness, always in community, always with love. Support one another. Be kind to one another. I had a situation this week that was just really kind of put me down. Just people are really shitty. And it sucks when you really find out people's true colors, especially people you thought were your friends. And it is what it is. And I think we've all been in situations like that. But keep your head up. Keep pushing. Life is short. Love the people you love. Keep them close. And get that negativity out of your life and stay positive. All right? And last but not least, you know what I like to say? Release your music. Release your content. Release your videos. You matter. The world matters. You're a beautiful person inside and out. No matter what anybody says, you're amazing. Keep doing what you're doing. Focus on your goals. Stay motivated. Stay positive. And be successful. Hope you guys stay safe. Be good. Stay out of trouble. And yeah. All right. Love you guys.